Welcome to Short Story Universe Audio, an epic comic book universe. Listen, learn, enjoy. Thanks for clicking on my video Everford, the Paradox Deux. To fully enjoy this video, please ensure CC Closed Captions is turned on. Reminder: the characters, events, locations, etc. in the following story are fictional and set within the short story universe. Also, I hope you enjoy the AI-generated pics at the end of the video. So, grab a snack, sit back, listen, and enjoy Everford, the Paradox Deux. Elliot Sharp wasn't sure what drew him to the university library that evening. The campus was quiet, with most students either in their dorms or out enjoying the weekend. But something compelled him to step into the dimly lit aisles, where the scent of aged paper and dust filled the air. He wandered aimlessly until his eyes fell on a book that seemed out of place on the shelf. The cover was worn, with golden symbols that shimmered in the low light, almost as if they were alive. The title, Everford, the Paradox Deux, was embossed in a script that was both elegant and unnerving. Elliot's curiosity got the better of him. He reached out, hesitating for a moment before pulling the book off the shelf. The weight of it felt heavier than it should, almost as if it carried the burden of countless secrets. Without thinking, he tucked it under his arm and made his way up to the checkout counter. Later that night, in the dim light of his desk lamp, Elliot cracked open the book. The pages were filled with strange illustrations and stories of a place called Everford, a city that defied the laws of nature and logic. As he read, he felt a strange sensation, as though the room was tilting around him. The words on the page seemed to pulse with energy, drawing him deeper into their world. Suddenly, the room went dark, and when the light returned, Elliot found himself standing in the middle of a bustling city street. The buildings around him were tall and twisted, with architecture that seemed to shift and change before his eyes. The air was filled with the sound of distant music, and the sky above was a swirl of colors he had never seen before. "What the?" Elliot muttered, spinning around in confusion. "Where am I?" "You're in Everford," came a voice from behind him. Elliot turned to see a young man about his age, with curly brunette hair and a look of both excitement and wariness on his face. He was dressed in clothes that seemed oddly out of place, like a mix between medieval and modern clothing. "I'm Terry." Terry Turner, the young man introduced himself, extending a hand. Elliot shook it, still trying to make sense of his surroundings. "I'm Elliot. How did I get here?" Terry chuckled, a sound that was more nervous than amused. "Same way I did, I guess. You found your book, didn't you?" Elliot nodded, pulling Everford, the Paradox Deux, out from under his arm. "Yeah, I did. But this doesn't make any sense." "It rarely does," Terry replied, his gaze sweeping over the strange city. "I found my book at Priceless Book Hall. The next thing I knew, I was here. That was weeks ago, I think." Elliot's eyes widened. "Weeks? You've been here for weeks?" "Time works differently in Everford," Terry explained. "I've tried to leave, but every time I think I'm close to finding a way out, something pulls me back. And then there's Mr. Miller." "Mr. Miller?" Elliot echoed, frowning. The name sounded familiar. "He's the one who gave me the book," Terry continued. "I thought he was just a quirky old bookseller, but now I'm not so sure. I've seen him here, in Everford. He shows up when you least expect it, always with some cryptic advice or a riddle that makes no sense." As if on cue, a figure stepped out of the shadows of a nearby alley. It was Mr. Miller, his eyes twinkling with that same knowing smile that had greeted Terry at Priceless Book Hall. "Elliot, I see you've met Terry. I've been expecting you." Elliot felt a chill run down his spine. You knew I would be here?" Mr. Miller nodded, stepping closer. "Everford is a place of possibilities, where different realities converge. The books are gateways, and you both were drawn to them because you're connected to this place, whether you realize it or not." Terry folded his arms, frustration evident on his face. If we're connected, then how do we get home? Mr. Miller's smile faded slightly. That is the paradox, isn't it? Everford is part of you now, and you are part of it. To leave, you must first understand what binds you here. Elliot exchanged a worried glance with Terry. And how do we do that? Mr. Miller gestured to the city around them. Explore. Learn. The answers you seek are here, within these streets, within the people you meet. But be careful, Everford is a place where reality is malleable, and not everything is as it seems. With that, Mr. Miller turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Elliot and Terry standing alone in the strange, shifting city. Well, that was helpful, Terry muttered, running a hand through his hair. This place is a maze of mysteries, and I've barely scratched the surface. Elliot sighed, trying to process everything. So, what now? We just wander around until something clicks? Terry smiled faintly. Pretty much. But at least we're not alone in this anymore. Over the next few days, or what felt like days, Elliot and Terry explored Everford together. They encountered strange, dreamlike landscapes where buildings floated above the ground and streets twisted into impossible spirals. They met inhabitants who seemed just as perplexed as they were, each with their own theories about the nature of Everford. As they delved deeper, Elliot found himself growing closer to Terry. They shared stories about their lives back home, Terry's love of fantasy books, Elliot's college life, and his fascination with technology. Despite the surreal circumstances, a genuine friendship blossomed between them. I never thought I'd say this, Terry admitted one evening as they sat on the edge of a floating bridge, watching the stars swirl in patterns that defied explanation, but there's a part of me that loves it here. Everford is like something out of my wildest dreams. Elliot nodded, understanding the sentiment. Yeah, I get that. But I also miss home. My family, my friends. I don't want to lose them. Terry sighed. Me neither. We must find a way out of here. Together. Their resolve was tested as the city itself began to change, becoming more unstable. Streets that once led to familiar places now twisted into unfamiliar paths. The once vibrant colors of Everford dimmed, replaced by shadows that seemed to creep closer with each passing hour. Curious of the creepy shadows, Elliot and Terry located Mr. Miller in the heart of Everford, standing in front of a massive portal that seemed to pulse with energy. Their team name is the Bleak Shadows, Mr. Miller said, his tone serious. Thus, the time has come for you to decide. Everford is slowly losing its fantasy reality. You must choose, stay or leave. Elliot and Terry looked at each other, the weight of the decision heavy on their shoulders. What happens if we stay? Elliot asked. You become part of Everford, Mr. Miller replied. Your realities will merge with this one. You will gain superpowers and abilities here, but you will never return to your former lives. And if we leave? Terry asked quietly. The Bleak Shadows gain control, Mr. Miller said. But you will go back to your lives, with only the memories of this place. Elliot took a deep breath. Is there no other way? Can't we save Everford and still go home? Mr. Miller's expression softened. That is the ultimate paradox. But perhaps, a force united, there is a chance. Elliot and Terry exchanged a look of determination. They had come this far together, and they weren't about to give up now. We'll stop the Bleak Shadows, Elliot said firmly. We'll save Everford and return home. Mr. Miller smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. Then you must act quickly. Time is running out. With renewed resolve, Elliot and Terry recruited battle forces. As inspiration for Team Everguard, they drew upon their friendship, shared experiences, and the power of the books that had brought them here. Everguard battled and defeated the Bleak Shadows. Together they witnessed the colorful return of Everford. In the end, Elliot and Terry stood before the portal, glowing with a warm, inviting light. This is it, Terry said, a mixture of relief and sadness in his voice. We did it. Elliot nodded, feeling the same. Yeah. We did. Ready to go home? Terry smiled, but there was a trace of longing in his eyes. Yeah. Let's go. They stepped through the portal together, the light enveloping them. As they did, they felt the world shift around them, and then everything went dark. When Elliot opened his eyes, he was back in his dorm room, the book lying closed on his desk. The room was just as he had left it, but something felt different. He glanced at the book, wondering if it had all been a dream. But then his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Terry. "Hey, Elliot. Crazy adventure, huh? Let's catch up soon. I think I figured out a way to get back to Everford." Elliot smiled, realizing that their friendship had transcended even the boundaries of reality. Whatever had happened in Everford, it wasn't over. And he was excited to face new adventures in Everford along with Terry. Thus, Everford remained an intricate, unfathomable enigma woven with layers of mystery and wonder, waiting to be unraveled. It was a tale that would endlessly unfold, expand, and evolve with each new and thrilling adventure, revealing deeper secrets and ever more astonishing revelations as time went on. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed Everford, the Paradox Deux, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling tales. Be kind and share this video. Make sure to click the bell notification so you never miss an update on my latest stories. See you in the next video.